Recently, I took a look back at 5 of my favourite bits of tech from my previous 5 years of working at BikeRadar. Now, in the comments, someone kind of fairly said that a lot of the items in there were quite expensive. Why didn't I put anything cheap in there? So I thought I'd do a roundup of 5 products from the past 5 years that have impressed me no end, but don't cost too much money. First up is the Santa Cruz Palmdale grip. The grip has a single collar on the inside of the bar, and usually this would mean that the outside is quite prone to spinning on your handlebars. However, that's not the case with the Palmdale because it's internally tapered towards the end of the grip. So long as it's pushed well onto the bar, there's plenty of security despite only having a single collar. Now, the advantage of not having an external collar means that you can get your hand even further out on the bars without any discomfort from having that bit of metal there. Santa Cruz have also added nearly a centimetre of extra rubber towards the end of the grip. That gives a bit more space and also means that there's a bit more forgiveness should you clip a tree when you're riding tight trails. The grip's pattern isn't too aggressive, it's got some little bobbles along it as well as the Santa Cruz logo. And I've found that the grip works pretty well in both wet and dry conditions with and without gloves. It's just a really nice all-round performing grip that doesn't cost the earth. It's about £19 RRP in the UK. Product number 2 is perhaps one you'll be more likely to see on some low to mid-range bikes in 2019 and beyond, and it's the RockShox Revelation Charger RC suspension fork. Now, this obviously comes in 27.5 and 29 and comes in 120 to 150-ish mil of travel. Previous generations of the RockShox Revelation had some issues, especially given how forks are developed in terms of their damping. And this is thanks to their use of the motion control damper, which isn't quite as sophisticated as the Charger that you'd find on the Pike and the Lyric. RockShox have introduced the Charger RC damper into the Revelation, and I believe this is a slightly cheaper version of the Charger damper that you'll find on a Pike or Lyric. What it means though is ample small bump sensitivity along with really nice progression through its stroke and a lot less spiking, which is one of the bigger criticisms of the motion controlled Revelation fork. You'll also find the debonair air spring on the fork, and this means it has a slightly larger volume negative air spring for better small bump sensitivity yet again, and there's lower internal friction all around. This just means better feel through the handlebars, better control and therefore more speed. So the next item is also from the household of SRAM, and it's the Guide RE brake. This brake was originally developed for the e-bike, hence the E at the end of RE, and it's slightly different from other guides on the market. SRAM have taken their Guide R lever, which has the single pivot in there, so there's no swing link, but they've mated it to effectively a Code 4-pot caliper. This means that it's a slightly lighter brake than the Code, but is a slightly more powerful brake than the Guide. And this makes it ideal on e-bikes, but it also makes it ideal, I think, on longer travel, hard-hitting, fast-riding 29ers, and if you're a slightly larger rider as well. The brake has a slightly punchier feel than a Guide generally has, and this means that modulation can be a little bit trickier, but I think the extra power is way more advantageous than any of the disadvantages of this, and I think it's a great addition to any big travel trail bike. It's also not very expensive, coming in at around £120 in the UK, depending on how you configure it. Now, if you really don't want SRAM brakes, or if you've already got Shimano shifters with the I-Spec, then you could go for one of the new 4-pot brakes from Shimano as well. I haven't tested these as extensively, however the short amount of time on them has been impressive. There are Dior and XT and non-series versions of the 4-pot brakes, and they again pack plenty of power for not very much money. Next up is a couple of pairs of gloves from 100%. First one is the Brisker cold weather glove, and I've been riding this for a couple of years now, and I really like it in that sort of late autumn to early spring time of year. A lot of winter gloves have a real thick palm for plenty of insulation, but I feel this destroys the feel through the bars. 100% have gone for a very thin single layer palm on the glove, and so it feels great. However, they've mated this to effectively almost like a soft shell material on the back, which provides plenty of insulation. And when it gets wet, that soft shell-like material on the back retains some heat, so it doesn't feel quite as cold and clammy as some other gloves do. They also have the Hydromatic glove, and this is a waterproof glove built on very similar principles, and coming in at £35 is still very good value for money. Because this winter hasn't been too wet, I haven't used it a huge amount. However, Feel through the bars again is excellent. It's pretty warm in terms of sort of windproofing there, and because it's waterproof, your hands don't get too wet. I reckon on super wet days, it'll still seep through. I don't think it's a fully 100% waterproof glove. However, for drizzly, wet, splashy days, I reckon the Hydromatic is a great option for the money. Finally, it's the Shimano PD-M530. Now, if you know anything about Shimano's coding, you'll realize that this is right down at the bottom, but it still packs loads of performance. The mechanism is as reliable and as steadfast as it always is with a Shimano SPD pedal, and you still get the adjustment to adjust the tune of how it feels when you're clipping in and clipping out of that pedal. Its RRP is £40, which makes it great value for money. However, you can get it online for around £25, which is fantastic value for money, considering you also get a cleat. And those cleats tend to cost 15 to 20 quid anyway, so you're almost getting a pedal for a fiver. While the PD-M530 might not be the lightest pedal around, I have found it to be incredibly reliable, and I've been running a set of these for about 5 or 6 years now with no maintenance. And if I'm honest, that's not something you can say for XT or XTI level pedals in my experience. So if you don't mind a little bit of extra weight but want to save a packet on your Shimano pedals, the PD-M530 is my go-to choice. So if I didn't work at BikeRadar, those are some of the products that I would definitely be happy spending my own money on. Let me know in the comments if there are any other products out there that you think balance price with performance. In the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe.